Folks, AI is getting crazy. See this book over here, $100 million money models? Read it? How could we even apply some of this to a business? So decided to go jump in and help out my co-founder with one of his other business. He's got a company, custom product builder. What it does is it allows companies to customize product, right? So let's say you got this jacket here. You want to go and change the color. Let's go change the hardware. Let's go change the lining. Let's go with the silk. Let's drop in something red. Add some studs. Put it on the sleeve. Whatever. You could go ahead and go real funky with it. Whatever. So his technology allows sellers of products to build these visual editors or visual tools to be able to sell their product. But it does a lot more on the back end on inventory. So how do you really capitalize on it? How do you use Alex Hormozi's model, for example, to create offers rather than just doing a monthly subscription fee and get the most out of it? Well, AI can really open the door. And I can share a little bit about how we're actually approaching this in a few days and the power of AI. And this is really based off some of the things I've been working on for close to 2 years now. Initially it was with RE Gold, where I was approaching projects, and that agent was helping create proposals or reply to people interested in talking to me in regards to consulting opportunities and those type of things. So here we go. I'll let you guys in on the secret. So what you need to do is create this giant knowledge base on yourself on how you do that. So if I work with developers, now I actually even have my job descriptions of what I expect from folks that would be working with me. I base a lot of my knowledge on these industrial engineering principles, which are kind of core, and then product management and these other things are built on top of it. But that's really like a foundational piece. So I break this down all the way down to how I do a project, how I do an epic, all the components of a project, how I measure it, how I research industries, how product management is done at larger companies, which parts I borrow, and then what's unique to our product management strategy at my company. And then I also have all the way down to how I want GPTs to respond so I could absorb the information in just a quick glance. For example, just have it render in a different table, put it in a format that could be seen in another area. I have partners, for example, as a custom product builder. I don't want to be able to tell it every single thing I'm working on there. And so I create a longer knowledge base of what it's doing, how it works, etc. We have all the different companies I work with, right? I have drive-by automation, which is AI. You haven't seen me doing stuff with terrible designs. That's my hardware side. And you guys have probably seen some Shogun West Studio stuff as well with my art, along with SAE, which I've mentioned a few times, which is Society of AI Automation Engineers. But a lot of this is based off of a lot of my engineering stuff, which I've studied and then gone much further beyond that. Now it's got context of every single course material or things I've kind of studied all the way from mechanical engineering to statistics to electrical engineering to computer science to business to psychology. So everything, all the topics I've covered, it knows contextually to go to those topics and not necessarily go steer too far off of it. So if this is like in my knowledge base or things I am familiar with, let's just kind of start with that. You know, all the things over to 500 startups, product school, AI automation, also, you know, working at one of the leading factory automation companies, ran across a lot of different things. That training program, all the industries, all the products to learn there, all the different type of customers I've ran across and applications I've worked on directly, the industries, domain expertise. It has all of this information. You know, that was just one company. Did a lot there, all the way down to very technical things in oil and gas. So then back into software, everything from drone stuff to health and medical stuff I've kind of covered, doing stuff from contractor, and then it also knows my projects. Then coming down into other things, it's like, what are some of the books and different things that I would use to approach things? How would I approach sales? And I put some of this Hormozi stuff. What are some frameworks that I look at from an engineering standpoint? How do I look at things like this? Factory physics, Toyota production system. These are all things that kind of fall under my umbrella, and it could take those and combine them. Drilling down either pieces is kind of like looking at the foundational pieces. What's the operating system, core thinking practices? Once all these things are kind of combined, this can actually overwhelm an AI system even. And I'm sure folks are like, how does this actually go down? So I have a trimmed down version of it that gets used in a master prompt for a Claude. So this has small points of reference and has larger pieces. If it needs additional context, I can go and grab it from this table for depending on whatever that project is. Okay, so just in a matter of a few days, we started figuring out what are some of the things that we can do for custom product builder. So what we did was, there's thousands of customers that he's actually done business with, and I also built up this entire database system on our end that operates a lot of things in our company, but put in some of his product. What are all his industries, sub-industries, marketing, sales planning, what are some campaigns, because that's what you need to do. It's like, okay, well, we need to find an offer to sell these customers, and how do we get leads? So that's the piece. Who are the customers? What do they do? And we're able to use AI based on how I approach things in the system in a matter of a few days, get really deep and a ton of information and a game plan out of it, creating a multitude of products that I didn't necessarily know that were even potentially possible. That could lead to a multitude of different revenue streams. So from this, you could see now the AI agents, if I go out and just show you some of the responses, it's pretty ridiculous. So, as I might have mentioned before, I want to reach the Baja 1000. That's why I'm building Drive-by Automation AI. And it turns out he's actually got some automotive customers in there that build custom vehicles. So I was like, okay, well, what are some products and things that we could deliver? So what's the value of a custom product builder, right? So with inventory and a multitude of SKUs, if you collapse them down, you're going to save a lot. For example, if you're selling rims and tires to off-road trucks and you get the wrong fit or it doesn't look right, people return it, that's huge overhead on your end. But if you have less returns or people can visualize what it looks like on their vehicle, they're much more likely to buy, especially with custom roof racks. Now you get into a large bit of complexity on figuring out what components will work with which vehicle, which year, which parts to kind of hold on hand. And this is where we can start flattening the inventory. And it's not going to be done by just looking at this product and, okay, great, we got the answer. No, I think a lot of folks will be a little bit overwhelmed with trying to implement a solution like that. That's where if somebody came in and did it for you or with you, looked at that inventory system, analyzed your inventory, looked at where you can kind of flatten the SKUs, and then gave you the product to do it along with the training, and did it for you, now you're saving thousands and thousands of dollars. You could sell these things for $5,000. So with AI, I actually was able to do a lot of this research on a multitude of areas. We went through, took his existing website, broke down every single part of the product, every single feature. We helped figure out what the value prop was, what the common fit was, what the value for conversion was, created ROI formulas. So now we could actually measure the impact of each product. Like, for example, it could be number of visitors, percentage conversion, and average value. We could look at things like reducing returns, lifetime customer value. We have this drag and drop customer, product designer, same thing, value prop, specific stakeholders. We looked at different types of things, jewelry people, furniture people, apparel. What are some of those impacts? And we were able to use this GPT to generate all of these tables. This is based on some of the frameworks I had, pulling the right information, and then going to official sources and finding that information and creating those benchmarks. How do we do the segmentation? Well, we actually used industry benchmarks for that as well on how to segment the market. So now we have a very good idea of what that business looks like, because this company kind of formed from, hey, we launched this feature because somebody asked for it and we built the next feature, which is typical for a lot of folks, especially if you're not necessarily doing a VC raise, and that could turn into great revenue. However, if you take an approach where you're like, look at what you could do, look at what the competition is doing, and how strategically you could go after the right folks, now you could really, really accelerate it, right? Because there's so many different folks coming in. Which ones do you actually go focus on? Which ones have the greatest TAM? And which ones have the greatest growth potential? We went through in a matter of a few hours, broke down every single feature and got all these tables in, which he didn't necessarily have. He just had a short description of each one. and uncovered things that weren't even seen before. This is like on the visual side, he's got some really amazing things that he's got that hasn't even necessarily fully uncovered the value on, like complex rules engine. This breaks things free from Shopify and huge impact for e-commerce places. And until you run the numbers, you're not going to really see this. So with this, you could actually go see that, because the average price of a good sold, because you can go to their website. And then if you could prevent it by at least a small prevent loss or find opportunity for gain, what that equates to. So from there, you can go and build your offers according to Hormozi's thing. So yeah, we're able to kind of go through, analyze all the different products, and this is all done with AI, just a matter of hours. And then he's going through and validating all of this stuff with his knowledge. So far, it's fairly accurate. And then we categorize the products into different categories. So rather than just a big chunk of features, we grouped them into the right categories, what each one of those suites should have. From there, we started digging in deeper of, okay, let's name it, let's come up with good descriptions, who it could be for, who's going to generate the greatest amount of value from each potential feature. Once we have that, we did market segmentation by SMBs, mid-market, enterprise. And in here, you could kind of see what is available for each one. And how do you decide where to place your bets? Because now you could be overwhelmed with those things. But this is how we're actually going to use it to go narrow down. We may go look at which side has the least amount of variability. So you can design one thing and approach 5 different industries, which have the largest opportunity, which have the highest variability in the own customer side as well, because they may actually have the greatest value. So in order to figure out what to package together and how to target, you want to go and really create an evaluation criteria. We're able to do that as well. Let's see. So here we go. Evaluation criteria. We could be like, hey, maybe we go after customers with traffic volume, gross margin headroom, customization intensity, variant. So all of these type of levers are ones that his product can go affect, and these will actually turn into savings or greater revenue opportunities for the customer. If you can quantify those, you have a clear idea of what that ROI is. But in order to approach them, there may be product gaps, there may be gaps in the current team structure in order to sell it, etc. So based on those factors, you got to make the bet. So you could assign points to it, dwindle it down further, and now you have a pretty solid game plan. What I went through just over the past few days. So pretty impressed with what we were able to put together. And here we go. Like, for example, I was like, hey, let's create $1,000 package for engraving for jewelry customers, right? So if they're doing proofs, what can we go do? We could probably help them set up a live preview. So if they're a company that doesn't have something that does it live, right? They could say, hey, we can engrave your name on it, just send it to us. It's going to have a lot more impact if somebody can see their logo, their picture, their emblem on that jewelry piece, and we allow that. That could also lead to also switching it out to being like, what would it look like on white gold? What would it look like on XYZ material, right? When customers can see it, they're more likely to buy it, less likely to return it. And if you have high margin products like this, you could turn revenue. And if it's only $1,000 to go implement it, or $5,000, then you're selling. And this could lead to, a few $100,000. It's almost like a no-brainer. We want to create opportunities so good it'd be stupid to say no. And that's what we're trying to go through, brainstorm here and uncover. So these have to be validated, but they are in the vicinity from what we're seeing. And I was like just poking around some of the ones on the vehicle side, and like how to run the pilots and like roof racks and those type of things will have some of that value. So I'm actually looking forward to actually getting involved in some of this stuff. So go check out some cool vehicles. All this stuff is not necessarily even get done haphazard. There needs to be a method to all this madness, right? So with this, we're creating the Society of AI Automation Engineers, and this is a standardization, the same way things are kind of standardized in the mechanical world. Software in many ways ends up lacking, is what I kind of found, especially coming from oil and gas, where there's a lot of mission critical applications, and it was a shock moving over to the software world. But here what we're doing is we're taking things from academia, industry, and standards committees, and kind of combining that same type of framework to create standards to help automate business processes using AI. And this is not just me telling folks how to do it. I'm actually creating a forum that allows, experts from that industry to come in and talk about their issues, their challenges, so it enables people to go and implement AI much quicker. And just to share a few examples, when I go and have some of my things created, AI actually knows exactly what the templates are. So when it provides information, it provides it in a format that can come into my business system for like project scoping, for example, right? All the way down to system docs, which has project sizing and estimation. It could use that to provide contextual information based on my information, right? Even building the automations themselves, we're looking to standardize that. This is done in a way where even if we do small ones, we have naming conventions, we have ways that each piece can be broken down to avoid errors. And along with that, we're starting to create our own standardization documents on how we may even do something like an N8N1 and keep the source of truth. So a lot of things on the horizon. Society of AI Automation Engineers, and also drive automation is expanding. So reach out to potentially folks that want to partner and build things out. Reach out to me. All right, take it easy, y'all.